Darling, Book Review. Grace Darling is a historical book about the shipwreck of Forfarshire, 1838. When Forfarshire was on the way to Dundee, with around 60 people on the ship, its engine suddenly stopped and had to go back to its original place of departure, which was Hull, as Daniel Donovan stated. Daniel Donovan was an engineer, so he already knew that the ship's engines were in poor condition. However, the captain of the ship thought that the ship was very secure and rejected Daniel's thoughts, so he continued on with the voyage. Mr. Robb, a churchman, and Mary Dawson, a mother of 2 children, were also passengers on the ship. They both depended on Daniel when they realized the ship's engines weren't working. Not far from the ship were the Farne Islands, a group of rocky pieces of land on the sea. On the Farne Islands, there was a lighthouse, and in it lived a family of 3 courageous lighthouse keepers. Thomasin Darling was the mother, William Darling was the father, and Grace Darling was the daughter. As the Forfarshire continued on its way to Dundee, Daniel checked outside for danger, but fortunately saw the lighthouse on the Farne Islands instead. After having a long conversation with Mr. Robb and Mary Dawson about the ship's performance, he checked again and was struck with horror. The ship was already being demolished by the rocks on Farne Island, and the lighthouse was only 300 meters away. As everyone was overwhelmed with terror, Grace Darling was in bed, but she couldn't sleep. So she looked outside the window and saw it with her own eyes, the shipwreck of the Forfarshire. After she told her dad about it, she checked for people on the ship who survived all night long and into the next morning. On the rocks that day were Daniel, Mary Dawson, Mr. Robb, and 8 other people. But what happened to them? Did the Darling family see their arms desperately waving towards them in need of serious help? And if they did, would Grace and her family have the courage to save them? Read the full book to find out the answers. This book is from a third-person perspective. The author used words such as he, she, his, and her, and avoided words such as I, me, we, or us, outside of quotation marks, which would be in first person instead. I would give this book a 5 out of 5 rating. The author gave a very exciting and comprehensible review of the book and showed character traits in great depth. In general, the book had no poor parts and is very enjoyable to read. This book is for anyone who wants to learn more about historical events in an interesting way, and for people who enjoy reading about shipwrecks. A person who enjoys classics would also fancy reading this book. However, this story may not satisfy you if you like to read present-day cartoons more. Nonetheless, Grace Darling is a great book.